Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Friend or Foe Esports Winter Invitational. We have our first match tonight, which is going to be Jungle versus Support. If you are looking at our overlay, it is totally revamped and ready to go. Looking a little bit closer to that LCS standard. How you doing? I'm being color casted by Udyr's own, the Tiger Heart.
I'm doing very good. I'm excited to be back. I don't know how long it's been since the Season 2 wrapped, but excited for this year tournament.
Yeah, I think it's going to be super interesting. I think it's pretty funny that Team Jungle thus far has banned 2 supports against Team Support. More expected is this Jhin ban. Jhin is probably one of 2 viable AD carries at the moment. So if you get rid of him, and you get rid of Samira, it becomes really, really hard for either team to make a proper team composition.
Yeah, I agree. One notable thing about Jhin, especially for a tournament like this, which to those at home who might not be aware, there's a lot of off-rolling going on because these are the all-stars of their roles from Season 2. So there's no AD carry main in this server. And I would say that Jhin is probably a pretty easy AD to pick up for someone who's not an AD carry player. So I like that ban.
He's certainly not Lucian.
Yes, or Draven.
Yeah. So, Team Support does ban 2 of Bo-Explode's most played champions in the preseason. Skarner is super good right now, as most tanks are. And Sejuani's also in that boat. Team Jungle also doing their part and banning a tank.
Interested to see how the meta will shape out here. I feel like
first pick Yasuo.
First pick Yasuo. That's
B1 Yasuo. I like it. I like it.
Do we have any idea of who on Team Jungle plays Yasuo?
I know Yoni does.
Yoni? Okay, so we're looking
like
for Yoni to be mid.
Yeah. Ooh, Caitlyn Thresh immediately. Caitlyn's also a pretty good AD carry for somebody who doesn't main the role. She's relatively safe and she has a lot of pressure in lane. It's pretty hard to punish her, so I think that makes a lot of sense. Thresh, on the other hand, also I think makes a ton of sense because it's team support. They're 5 support mains. Of course they want to play the flashy support.
Yeah, someone there is a good Thresh player. Do we know if the players are listed in role order?
I believe they are.
Okay, so we can guess Trinketer is top, Torres is top.
Yes, we can assume
2
those
diamonds.
Yes. So according to our producer, we actually don't know until they lock in for sure.
Excellent.
Who's going where.
Extra mystery.
Yeah, that's nice little bit of mystery. I like it. Echo coming through. Don't know if that's Echo jungle or mid, but the champion. Oh, it's looking more like Echo jungle. His worst matchup is Kha'Zix and then probably Udyr. So if we see 2 weird champions or specifically a weird champion like Udyr get banned, I think we can assume that's Echo jungle.
Yeah, I like the Echo as a pick too because you can pinch the jungle pool further, but potentially flex it mid if you want.
Echo jungle is actually really weak thus far in the preseason. I'd be pretty surprised if it's Echo jungle, but I do know that Torres loves playing Volibear top, so I think getting rid of Volibear is very smart. So I think Echo's actually plays really well in the Yasuo. Yasuo doesn't love playing against other melee champions that can beat him in a straight up fight, and Echo can with his W.
Yeah.
Another Kayle ban and Kayn ban. Kayle and Kayn both really, really strong.
Purely from win rates, Kayle and Kayn are 2 of the best champions in the game. I mean, Kayle is basically undisputed best champion in the game, just from win rates at least.
Yeah.
And Kayn is definitely one of the strongest junglers. A little surprised to see both of them make it through to second ban phase, not being picked or banned.
I think Kane's a little bit harder to make work in coordinated play, just by virtue of his form transformation. It can take a little bit of effort to get the specific transformation you want, and a coordinated play that's almost always Rost. Thus far, you've only seen 1 melee. If Team Jungle just drafted another ranged champion, it suddenly becomes really hard to make that Kayn pick work. Kayle, on the other hand, absolutely, I think Kayle's a very stupid champion.
The Malphite would make sense. It looks like, is that Malphite locked in, or are they hovering it still?
Malphite's locked in. They're moving on to hovering their final pick.
Well, Team Jungle looks like they are going with big, dumb, engaged Wombo. with
That is a
Hawk and a
press R to
cow.
win comp. They
Yeah,
need AP.
absolutely.
I would be very surprised if this wasn't like Vladimir. Oh, I'm so
Oh,
good at this
wow.
video game.
Yeah, that is
I
a
don't
press
even play
R
with
to
these
win
guys.
comp.
Yeah, they're all gonna press R at the same time and just hope for the best. Meanwhile, Team Support has a really strong 1-3-1 comp, actually, with this Hecarim allowing for picks and engage if they so need it. But Echo and Shen are both really good on the side lane. I don't know if Team Jungle has any way of dealing with those two.
I feel like Team Jungle's answer to the side lane pressure is to just force fights, which they can certainly do.
It's hard to force fights against Shen and Hecarim, though. Hecarim's got really good disengage. That's his threat.
Oh, yeah, I mean, if in like you have 5 against a 1-3-1 or something,
yeah,
you can definitely start that fight if needed. That being said, obviously Team Support, like you said, has a lot of especially like mid-game mobility options between the Hecarim and the Shen and Echo.
Yeah. I think that Team Support drafted better lanes for themselves, and as a result, I just realized that this has to be Malphite jungle, which is far from viable in my opinion. I think it's quite weak. So we will see how Malphite jungle does in this game. And for Team Support, I think it's pretty clear where every champion is going. It's pretty obviously Hecarim jungle, Echo mid, Shen top, and then the other two in the bottom lane. So I think Team Support has a little bit harder of a team composition to operate, but I think as a result, them winning will be super hype. And they're the underdog coming into this, so I want my money on Team Support. But I think Team Jungle's comp is so easy that it's a shoe-in.
Yeah, I think looking at the players, Torres and Bo Explode are a storied duo and two of the best players at this tournament right now. It's hard to count them out, and their comp, like you said, is really easy. I got to put my money on them. That being said, Malphite jungle is a little funky, and I don't know how well that's going to work.
Yeah, Malphite jungle is pretty weak in the early game, to say the least. I think it's actually one of the weakest champions pre-6. So we have to see. Actually, I'm wrong. It's Yasuo jungle, because of course it is. So now we get to watch some wild gameplay out of that guy.
Yeah, and Team Jungle, though, already stacking 5 in the bot lane. They don't really have much level 1 playmaking, though.
They're probably just watching for the invade. I don't think they could do a whole lot either. So I think against Thresh, they're probably a little bit more Thresh Shen. They're playing really defensively. So I think that's totally understandable. I also think that if we don't see Bo Explode basing right here, oh, there's that base coming through from somebody. I assume it's the Malphite, but it would be really troll if he didn't. It was actually Alistar and Malphite's base. So the beefy boys have left the area.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that early play from Team Jungle. I feel like if you're not looking to invade or maybe they're making the call that they thought they were expecting a bot side invade, but not having any sort of spread out pressure. You know, they have no idea that Hecarim's going into the jungle here.
Oh, is he just gonna scoop this blue buff?
This is what you leave yourself vulnerable to when you 5-man stack like that. They have no information as to what's going on the map right now.
Wait, what happened? Why does this red buff have 1 bar left of patience?
Looks like Torres may have inadvertently taken aggro. Weird, I have no idea how good Yasuo jungle is. I can't imagine it's
actually, so it's really healthy at clearing, but it takes a lifetime to kill Scuttle Crab, and it's really bad at ganking. So if he just power farms, it's not the worst thing in the world, but he's losing half of his jungle here, which is going to make the power farm strategy near impossible.
Yeah, really good start by Trinketer here, getting that ward on the wolf so he knows exactly where Yoni is, and the blue buff steal.
Oh, something we should probably note is where people ended up in this game, since we didn't know quite beforehand. Lucifer Alpha in the mid lane. Onbo does land that level 2 hook on a Gravial, losing 90% of his HP in that trade. That's quite a bit of damage there coming out from the Caitlyn Thresh lane.
Absolutely. I think Onbo and Trinketer are probably the two people you're looking at to really carry team support here.
Weird gank from the Yasuo, but I guess he had nothing else to do.
Yeah, like you said, Yasuo doesn't have Oh, I hope team support doesn't let Yasuo get this blue buff.
That it
He
is
might not even go
warded for
for it.
them, and they have priority, so I don't think it's going to happen either. Yoni's still level 2, so this is
He's going
quite bad
back
for him.
mid.
Oh, he's going back mid lane, giving up bottom side Scuttle Crab, also going to lose top side Scuttle Crab because Hecarim's here. So, oh, Hecarim ghosting into this Malphite lane. Bow Explode waiting for the flash, gonna pull him back from Hecarim's rampaging charge, is gonna pick up that first blood onto Trinketer. Hecarim is such a monster of a champion right now that could just be the game already.
Yeah, that's not a good look. It's a bold choice from Team Jungle, you know, in this tournament where you'd presume your best player will be the person who's playing their main role, to put your jungler on a strange off-meta pick.
Yeah, weird for sure. And also, Trinketer is the diamond player for team support. And I think this is kind of the meta. You want your best gold under player playing the role that your team is named after, right? And you want your your diamond player playing a role with as much impact as possible. Carrot's getting really, really low. Gonna get away, maybe. Oh, has to drop the heal. Graviel does not have the range to catch up. Does continue to lose a ton of his health. No flash on this Misfortune. And no heal?
Ultimately, that ends up being a pretty, possibly even favorable trade for team support there, even though it looked like Carrots was almost killed at the beginning of it.
But it ended up being really good for them. They traded one summoner for 3.
Yeah, and the HP is, I guess, slightly higher on the AD for jungle, but probably lower overall. That's the danger. It's, you know, it's easy to get those strong trades that feel really good, but then you push it too far, especially early, and you take so much damage from the minion wave when you go that aggressive.
Yeah, she was face tanking all of their minions, and they were so far away from Team Jungle's bottom lane minions that they weren't dealing any kind of damage to that Caitlyn. Oh, it is going to be a lethality Misfortune. That is kind of what you expect to see nowadays, especially with Jhin ban. She's one of the higher priority picks. I think Caitlyn's a little on the weak side, so hopefully we will see if Caitlyn can have any impact. She does have a 5 CS lead right now and a nice freeze going on in this bottom lane.
Yeah, curiously, we don't see the Samira showing up. Samira...
Yeah, neither team picked it, and it wasn't banned. You're right.
Some might disagree with me, but I think Samira's actually kind of a tricky champion to play effectively.
I think that makes a ton of sense then, that the teams that neither of them main AD carry wanted to pick it up.
Exactly, but notably, Jhin, Samira, Misfortune are the 3 ADs that...
Oh, Carrots is dead. Carrots is dead. Oh, it's really close. Oh, no!
Oh!
And is Graviel going down? No, Carrots walked up a little far and stood still to auto and Q, excuse me. Graviel might just die to Onbo's Thresh here. Graviel does have that Misfortune passive to get a ton of move speed. He's got to dodge this hook, and he's walking in a really awkward spot to make it almost impossible for himself. Onbo picks up the kill. That's 2 kills for the bottom lane of team support.
Yeah, can't walk between the turret against the Thresh like that.
Yeah, you just can't. Trinketer's so far ahead of this Yasuo. Yasuo still hasn't even gotten a chance to base, and Trinketer has a Phage and a Sheen. He is maybe dead here. Trinketer does get the Shen ult to come through. Lucifer Alpha's Echo is also walking over. The big taunt coming through from Pericles. That Spirit Guard saving so much damage on Trinketer. Lights does not die. He does heal up most of his HP off of that Hecarim. Bow Explode just gonna disengage with his Q. Torres is here as well. Pericles up a little too far, and Lucifer Alpha flashing out to end the fight. Did not go quite as well as it seemed like it was going, but still only a 2 for 2.
Yeah, another fight that looked like it was going really in favor of one team. This time it was team support that ended up being turned around at the end. I guess Trinketer was just too deep, and Team Jungle collapsed better. Really nice roam by Torres. Don't know if it really ended up mattering too much, but just nice to see.
Why is everybody bullying Lucifer Alpha in this game? That's the 5th time he's been ganked.
Yeah, I mean, if you baby a Vlad can carry a game for you.
That's true. Being a Vlad is a very effective strategy in League of Legends. It's a time-tested strategy. It's been around since Season 1. Champion's pretty good if you invest a lot of resources into him. Lucifer Alpha does have no mana in the mid lane, so he could be losing this trade and maybe his life pretty soon. He seems to be walking out just okay, and we're going to go back looking at Trinketer. killing this Drake. Trinketer's still only level 5, but importantly, Yoni's also only level 4.
So team support is about 1,000, 1.5k gold up right now, and this Hecarim is definitely really strong, especially compared to the Yasuo. That being said, the mid lane is not going well. This Echo is pretty behind,
Wait.
and
Oh my
you do
god,
not.
it's Tank Yasuo. I
It's
looked at the chat and I didn't believe you guys, but you're right. It's Tank Yasuo. He can't build anything but a tank item now. Once you build that Bammies, you're forced into a tank item.
well, just as I thought I knew what was going to happen in this game.
Almost the entire lead for team support is on this Hecarim right now. I think that is worth noting. There's also a 500 gold lead in the support position, which is making up for the 500 gold deficit in mid lane.
Yeah, unfortunately, 500 gold lead in a support role doesn't count for much. We'll see.
How many pink wards is that? 6? 7?
True, yeah, but buying enough ink wards usually isn't the challenge for the support. I think an important moment is coming up here once Trinketer hits 6, seeing how much work he can get done with that. Because I think team support's in a really dangerous position if they don't make anything happen with this first Hecarim ult.
Yeah, first Hecarim ult is one of those ultimates that really you gotta get value out of. It's similar to Nocturne or Kiana. If you don't get that first kill, you're pretty slow scaling champion after that. So I think Trinketer's probably gonna look to bully Yoni in his jungle even further. That does seem to be the plan. He is 2 levels up with a red buff and his own ultimate, as well as his ghost has just come back. Yoni, still no flash. Oh, Trinketer clicks the Rift Herald instead. Does ult, gets a ton of damage out into Yoni before Yoni can even think to respond. Everybody's coming down here real quick. Rift Herald's trying to do as much as it can. Bow Explode's currently zoning out Theracles. Theracles does have to flash away from Bow Explode before dying to that unstoppable force. Lights is on Lucifer Alpha's back. Trinketer returning back towards Lights, takes a ton of damage out from this Vlad. Vlad's gonna heal the full off Chemoplex. Lucifer Alpha doesn't even get a chance to complete that E, and instead, everybody goes down for team support. And we're gonna, oh, actually, I'm surprised Lights died, but that whole trade only resulted in a 200 gold exchange, and I don't know if you want to lose 3 lives for 200 gold.
Yeah, that actually closed the gold lead in favor of Team Jungle quite a bit. And this is starting to look kind of bad. The Malphite and the Vlad are getting off the ground, and that's a scary combo of champions. Even though it's a tank Yasuo, don't know how much work that'll be getting done, but Hecarim's a funny champion because so much of his durability in a fight comes from
damage
basically
from his W, right?
Yeah, like drain tanking. And so he's the sort of champion that if you put him behind, he suddenly becomes a lot easier to manage.
Yeah. So something I wanted to point out here is that according to Riot's plan for the season, cool item versatility was the whole strategy behind creating Season 11. And we're seeing a Divine Sunderer coming out from Trinketer here. They have 2 tanks, 2 normal tanks, as well as a tank Yasuo. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And it's going to make Trinketer's damage be a lot chunkier against these beefy boys from the front line of Team Jungle.
Yeah, it seems like Hecarim probably wants either the Divine Sunder or the Trinity Force, and against, even Vlad ends up with so much HP that he counts as sort of a pseudo tank. One thing that both teams should be looking to pick up before any large fights start happening is Grievous Wounds. Especially Team Jungle has a lot of healing, mostly just because Vlad is gross.
It's also a Fleet Footwork Yasuo, so that's quite a bit of healing as well.
Fleet Footwork tank Yasuo. I guess Yasuo's ult applies the on-hit for Sunfire? But that has been nerfed. So, I don't know if it's as gross as it was at the beginning of the preseason.
Looking like we are going to see an objective trade here. Yoni is on that Rift Herald. Trinketer is in the river in bottom side. They're getting some vision set up for the second Drake. I believe it's a Cloud Drake, so we do have potential for an Ocean Soul in this game. However, it's either Ocean or Infernal, which are both the really high value souls. So I think the team with the Drake advantage does have a pretty nice inherent advantage in this game. Although currently we're only at about a 90 gold lead in favor of team support.
Yeah, Ocean Soul would be pretty devastating for either of these teams to pick up.
Oh, they're setting up for a 4-man bottom.
I like this a lot.
Oh, Torres is on support. Oh, he got pushed back by the Hecarim E anyway. Cricketer tanking as much as he can, still goes down to the misfortune. That's really tragic, because now they're not going to be able to secure the Drake.
Yeah, actually really clean escape. Really well played there by Team Jungle.
This is so good for Team Jungle. They're up 2,000 gold now.
Yeah, that's absolutely massive. They get the first turret and they trade 1 for 1 and get the shutdown from Hecarim onto the misfortune. I mean, that's basically as badly as that could have gone.
It's only getting worse.
And there's Vlad. Night Harvester Vlad is
pretty
powerful
insane.
And 2 turret top lane.
This game just was blown wide open for Team Jungle. Meanwhile, Bow Explode not taking any kind of damage from Cricketer. We thought that Divine Thunderer was enough, but clearly Riot had different plans for us. Yoni get hooked out of his own ultimate, not able to pick up that Steel Tempest. Instead, he's gonna escape using some nice Yasuo mechanics. Maybe he just played this champion because he thinks he's cool.
Yeah, Yoni's Yasuo's... it's the best support, or best jungle Yasuo I've ever seen. He's had some pretty slick movements. That being said, you know, team support was in an awkward position in this game where you have this Hecarim who wants to be applying pressure and fighting early, and then both mid and top lane were just losing the 1v1. Which is just a really difficult position for Drinker to have been in.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's actually pretty hard for Trinketer because he really wanted to invade that top side, but his laners were just getting out pressured and out presenced by both of Team Jungle's laners. Both Explode on that Malphite and the Lights playing the Vladimir. Meanwhile, big engage coming through. Oh, the double ult! We don't have bullet time up quite yet, so it's not going to be up. No, bullet time just came up. Gonna drop it on top of this Thresh. On Bow, hooks Bow Explode. Doesn't matter, man. Excuse you. Supports aren't as good when they're on team support. Team Jungle, gonna CC you guys to death.
Yeah, I mean, Onbo's Thresh has been looking pretty good. Unfortunately, he has picked up 2 of the 8 kills, which really not what you're looking for, especially in such a competitive game as this. Though it feels really bad when you're playing an AD carry like Caitlyn.
Oh, Heracles missed the taunt! Okay,
doesn't matter though.
Anyway, but that could have been really sad. Bow Explode probably, no, excuse me. I've done that twice now. Torres going down on that Alistar. No objectives are up on the map. Yoni's going to pick up that mid lane turret. Actually, never mind. He is not a real Yasuo. He is a tank Yasuo. So his auto attacks are doing approximately 10 damage per hit. So instead of getting the tower, he's not even going to get the equivalent of a plate. And they're all just going to collapse on him and force him to leave.
Yeah. We saw there both Misfortune and Caitlyn getting the true AD carry experience. First, Caitlyn gets Flash Alistar comboed into Flash Malphite ulted.
Yeah.
Then Caitlyn gets Hecarim ulted into Shen ult.
You guys can't kill Bow. Come on, be honest with yourselves. You both know that this guy isn't going to die. Oh, he does have no unstoppable force. He might be going down. Never mind. Nope, he's Malphite. So,
yeah,
it does seem like a little bit of wasted time for Trinketer. There's no Drake up anytime soon. It's not for another 2.5 minutes. It is Ocean Soul in this game, which does allow... Oh, big unstoppable force dropping right on top of Trinketer. Trinketer's still really slow from the Malphite Q. Gonna take a lot of his HP from that turret. Does eventually get the dive to work, but that's a lot of resources invested to kill a Malphite when there's no neutrals up.
Yeah, I mean, getting the turret gold onto the Shen is good. Also, just getting Malphite ult cooldown down, so you have that period of time where he can't ruin your AD carry's life.
Back up by the time he respawns.
Oh, don't you love it? Malphite's a great champion. I love that it's one of the best in the game right now.
Just pick up bot tower.
Yeah, I don't know if Shen can ever get to the point when he could actually fight the Malphite. I know Shen can do a lot of damage, but I don't think he can do enough tank damage. I'm sure some of the top lane mains out there could correct me on that one if I'm wrong.
It is a lot of percent health, so maybe.
But this is still looking tough though, because team support with all of their strong side laning.
Why did he
doesn't
win
look
while
like they have-
backward?
For all of their strong side laning, it looks like team support doesn't have anyone who can actually survive in the side lane right now.
Yeah, this kind of composition needs a lead to work properly, and a lead they do not have. So I think it's going to be even more of a struggle as this game continues to go.
I think the guiding light for team support is that really the only substantial AD threat on Team Jungle is that Misfortune, and so if you can get on her and kill her.
Well, Explode lost so much health to Malphite, and they're dropping their ults on top.
No.
Those are huge cooldowns that they're not going to have for the Drake. All it took was one Malphite. He didn't even ult.
This Echo's
Now,
having a hard time.
Oh no! Echo's having a rough time this game. Meanwhile, this is going to be a 2v3. I don't think Trinketer, you have any chance of winning this one. Almost gets out. Instead, he does get picked up by Yoni on the Yasuo, which is almost Yone, but not quite. Onbo taking a ton of damage from Graviel's Misfortune. It is, unfortunately for him, crit Misfortune, so he doesn't actually deal any damage because that's how League of Legends is at the moment. And instead of killing Thresh there, he tickles him a little bit, and they pick up a 3-for-0 on their way down to pick up their first Ocean Drake of the game.
Yeah, this Ocean Soul is... If Team Jungle gets Ocean Soul, I don't see any way that Team Support could ever come back from that. So falling behind in the Dragon count, also just another nail in the coffin here for Team Support.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's just harder and harder the longer the game goes. And since they don't have the lead to sideline with, they can essentially never win a team fight with the composition they have. So I think it's really, really tough.
And this Vlad is 2,500 gold above his lane opponent.
Wow. Jody's gonna die to Trinketer anyway, though. Instead of
That's
flashing the wall. That was weird.
Yeah. That's not a bad shutdown to grab on Trinketer there, but... Don't know.
Really weird that he was even given the opportunity to take that shutdown, in my opinion.
Yeah, one strat I like to pull off when I'm playing solo queue is when an opponent takes an objective, especially Dragon, just make a drive-by past Dragon Pit, because usually you can catch someone who backed in the pit and can't get out. And so you can either kill them or force their flash. And I'm pretty sure that's what happened there.
Lucifer Alpha's Q doesn't even two-shot caster minions yet. It takes It takes 2 whole casts of Q for him to clear with, which is pretty unfortunate. It's not what you want to see as Echo. Trinketer is coming in onto Lights. I don't really think they have any kill pressure onto a Vlad with flash and ult, but they are going for it. Lights does drop Hemoplague. Gonna do... Maybe Lucifer Alpha dies here if he doesn't ult. He does not quite die, which I respect holding the cooldown, but they dropped Hecramol in exchange for just Vlad flash.
Getting the flash off of Vlad is really good.
That's
Vlad,
true.
when he has that flash summoner spell, you know, Vlad's run Nimbus Cloak, and so it's so hard to keep a Vlad off of your backline, and so without that cooldown for an upcoming fight, you know, there's some hope of keeping this Caitlyn alive. So
yeah, there is, but how much
trade.
damage does Caitlyn do? They have so many tanks. It's really hard
Caitlyn, yeah.
Real damage in this game.
Oh, and I see what you mean. Misfortune went shield bow.
And is
so
now
you mentioned in draft that oh.
Okay, that's a lot of people in the bottom lane onto Theracles' Thresh. Trinketer does get some damage off, but Yoni does pick up the 2. Theracles is ulting back in on top of Trinketer. Torres is full HP in there, and so is Bo Explode. Those guys are eventually going to go down, but there's so much DPS coming out. Lights does teleport in, almost one-shots the entirety of Team Support. Actually does manage to kill the rest of Team Support, and they spent all of their cooldowns, all of their ultimates, to only take out Bo Explode's Malphite in a 4v5.
That's going to be one of those Vlad games. Already is one of those Vlad games. Now Team Jungle, what is that? 7,000 gold lead ahead. That's huge. even though I think their misfortune in Yasuo might not have optimal builds. We saw Yasuo barely doing any damage there. Doesn't matter though, they have a monster Vlad in the mid lane who can basically 1v5 at this point.
Yeah, and it's basically as long as you build a combat stat, Misfortune's ultimate is good. So even if her auto attacks deal no damage, she can still ult on top of people to get Hecarim. Not Hecarim ulted, because they don't have that Hecarim. If they get Malphite ulted or Ali comboed, MF can still deal damage. I do think that Yoni does 0 damage, but I don't know if he's here for damage or if he's just here to extend these knockups.
Yeah, and this whole game honestly has really felt like team support trying to be proactive and make things happen and just running into the wall that is team jungle.
Yeah, for sure. I think the only thing that team support could potentially steal the game away with is a couple of key objective steals from Trinketer. Trinketer is still pretty strong. He is probably the only person on his team that realistically does any kind of damage in a team fight. So he could maybe sneak his way in there. Maybe not sneak, it's a little bit loud when Hecarim ults into an objective's pit. But potentially smite some things away from Yasuo. Yasuo doesn't have any kind of executes or hard, quick damage to secure an objective with. So that's what I'm hoping for if I'm team support.
Yeah, I feel like team support's win con also. Trinketer is strong, but you need someone else, and you need the Caitlyn to come online. But unfortunately, or better or for worse,
oh, he misses. Wait, Trinketer is getting ulted by Shen, and instead everybody is taking this misfortune ult. They are dropping so many cooldowns to take out Torres' Alistar. He hasn't even become unbreakable yet. Meanwhile, Boexplod's Malphite does come in. He still has unstoppable force. He can ult into these 3 people. He does! And instead, Lights is going to ult the Hemoplague on top. That's going to be probably the game. That's so much damage coming through from this Vladimir. It's a triple kill. Easy. Carrot through the 4th, baby. Get over here. Instead of you guys thinking maybe you picked my bottom lane, I killed all of you, says Lights.
Yeah, that's a strong Vladimir. And you were wondering what all of this action was around the mid lane that Team Jungle was throwing, and it pays off. They babied Vlad through his weaker early game, and now he one-shots the whole enemy team.
Game. Yeah. Yep.
As of note, Yasuo went Sunfire Cape into Berserker Breeze into Kimpunk Chainsword.
Into Thornmail. That's his next item.
The double Grievous.
Yeah, indeed. Against only Hecarim. They don't really have any healing other than the Hecarim. I feel like maybe that build would make more sense for Trinketer's Hecarim in this game than the Yasuo from Yoni. That's gonna mess me up the whole tournament, I guarantee you.
Absolutely.
But
I guess when you're getting hard carried by a Vlad, it doesn't matter what you build.
Somebody in the chat said that Echo R would also count. They're right. Echo R didn't save Lucifer Alpha in this situation, though. That could just be the game. They might just push down the mid lane with that man advantage. Yoni is going hard. Oh, that's a big... He doesn't get the ult to extend the CC off. Graviel's Dark Harvest immediately killing that Caitlyn. Onbo's going to go down as well. This is tragic, but that is going to be the game for Team Jungle.
Yeah. A little bit of bumps in the early game, but Team Jungle making it look easy.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like Boexplode and Torres didn't even need to flex their muscles. Lights really coming in huge on this Vladimir pick.
I actually somewhat disagree.
Guys, just end.
This is mean. This is mean.
Just end the game.
They have so much HP. Okay, there's the FF, I think. I don't think they actually ended. I think that was just a forfeit. But instead, we are going to see Team Jungle defeat Team Support in our first game of the tournament and of the night. So I think obviously the carry player was Lights' Vladimir, but I would actually like to highlight Boexplode and Torres' crowd control. Their comp is a really hard teamfight press ultimate comp. They all press the R key and win team fights. So an important part of press R key and win team fights is having Malphite on your team, and they did. So it worked out really well for them. Malphite did the most damage on the team, by the way.
Wow.
Balanced class. Tanks are super fair.
Malphite, high skill, well balanced champion. Love to see people express themselves on it. But really clean game by Team Jungle.
A really quick one. Actually, I think that this game was in Team Support's hands until they kind of threw going for that 4-man bottom that they had no right to take.
Right. Oh,
Because they
that
lost
was the moment.
so many
Yeah.
resources off of that.
If that dive went well, they could have had the dragon. Even then, they still would have lost top and probably top inner as well. Lots of damage to objectives coming out from the tank Yasuo. At least he can say he did that much.
Yeah, that counts for Drakes and Barons as well as I believe just jungle camps also count as objectives for some reason.
Interesting that Hecarim's was so low.
Yeah, I actually agree that it's kind of surprising how low Hecarim's was. Although his team was far enough behind that he didn't really ever get a chance to contest objectives.
Yeah, I think if Team Support is looking to run the Hecarim again, which honestly it was working at the very beginning, they would want
I do believe
more...
that it's best of 1 and single elimination, so I think that they're already out of the tournament.
Are they entirely out?
I think they're entirely out of the tournament. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they're just out of the tournament. So, good showing in the early game from Team Support. Team Jungle did grab the game by the nuts and just totally take it over. There was no way Team Support got a chance to come back after that huge gold swing off of that 4-man bottom that didn't quite work out. So I'm Sunrise, and I'm being joined by the Tiger Hearts tonight. And instead of going to the analyst desk, we're actually just going to be going right to after intermission, and then we'll have our next game shortly thereafter. See y'all in just a little bit.
And dive into the sky. Hear the wind crying out its prayer. While we're so ashamed to be